Start talking about how this is actually used. Folks are intrigued and often ask relative to OKRs about cascading. Okay. Who knows about cascading objectives within an organization? Okay, yep. And how does that work?
Not well.
Okay. So in what ways does it not work well? That's important. That's kind of the answer I was looking for.
I mean, from my perspective, you lose autonomy of the teams and nimble effectiveness of the people who are doing it.
Did you read? I'm going to say you read the book, didn't you, or something?
A while ago.
Yeah, a while ago.
Yeah.
So cascading is starting off with the top level organizational goals and strategy. And then saying, if we're going to, let's say we're going to increase revenue by 50 million this year. Then for each of the departments, they take that and they say how much of that 50 million they're going to be responsible for. Or if they're not a revenue producing part of the organization, what they are going to do to enable achievement. Which then it rolls down, and it rolls all the way down to the bottom of the organization, to the individual contributor in companies that do this well. As you might expect, it takes a long time. I mean, if you have a large company, and the client I worked with, I did their strategic plan with them 3 or 4 years ago. They were giving a quarter to be able to just roll it out and get the cascading out to the field and then back. So 3 months just to create it. Well, that's great, but then what happens if the world changes? What happens if the product that we think we're going to really drive, we get some data that says, wow, that's going to be a dud? Should we continue to go along with that plan? Well, no, and we know it, and so people start going, whoop, 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 they back up. But now what about that plan that we have that's supposed to dictate my work? It's no longer useful. But wait a second, it took months to create. Are we going to go back and recreate it? Heck no. So now you have a set of goals and a piece of paper that bears no resemblance to the work that we're actually doing because we don't have the time. So it's an unusable document. So cascading, that's not always the case. But cascading, typically, if we do it in the traditional way, it's a great idea. It's just hard to really use it in a way that helps the organization. OKR cascading is a little different. It's the same principle, and this is actually, if you read back to what John Doerr brought to Google when his slide deck, when he was trying to convince Larry and Sergey, hey, you guys need to take on OKRs, had the football analogy. Let me explain to you what this means. And so he talks about how if our goal up at the highest level, actually he had one higher, was to make money for the owner. But then the general manager has 2 of these. Oh, that's it. That's his objective, make money. What are his key results? Win the Super Bowl, fill stands. Notice how it starts splitting, right? The head coach is responsible for which of those? Win the Super Bowl. He doesn't care how many people are in the stands. That's not really his part of making it happen. Okay, that's up for the head of PR, and then you can keep driving each of those down. What's also different, though, is the way it happens. So in companies that really adopt OKRs, we'll have the organizational direction, those objectives will be set, but then I'll go into my cube and I'll go, hey, I'd really like to work on this new feature or this software that we're developing. I got some really cool ideas about that. Now you notice I just skipped maybe 2, 3, 5 levels of starting there, and I took initiative for myself. And then I go back to my manager and say, hey, here's something I think I could really do. What's the advantage of doing it that way?
You've got
So my engagement, right? I want to do it. What else?
The people who are making the objectives are more informed about, they're the real experts.
I can do it better.
Yeah.
Yes. And rather than you telling me what I should be working on,
Right.
how about I tell you what I should be working on? And and this is also part of the mindset of OKRs, is that it's not a top-down traditional, I tell you what to do. This is actually something that we negotiate, we talk about, and there may be some that my manager says, hey, as part of being on this team, I really need you to focus on this, not this one. Okay, it's not, I get to choose everything. But in John's perspective and Google's use, at least 50% of an individual's OKRs should come from them. Right? So, different way of cascading. It's much more nimble too. If I go, hey, this one's not working, what can I do? I can shift. I can change it. Okay, so I'm not going to take your time up with this. This is showing how a process would actually work if you were to fully roll it out in your organization. You start working at the beginning of year. I think this one start. Yeah, you look at a company like Google will brainstorm their annual OKRs, and then from there they will then communicate those out. Department heads will take them. They'll start working them. They'll have their town halls that they talk about them, and there'll be conversations going back and forth between individual managers. The point is, in a relatively short period of time, particularly once you get into the year, now people are just working off of OKRs. As we get to close to the end of a quarter, you don't have to wait till literally March 31 to say, did I hit my key results or not? You know, right? Magic doesn't happen in one day or 1 week. You can start grading yourself. You get the lessons learned, and you're talking about here's what next quarter is. So you just skip in without a beat. It can be it's not going to be a key result. Key result was pass fail. You made it, you didn't, or you got part way to it. Okay? The objective potentially is one that's significant enough. We're going to carry that objective over, or we're going to step back and say, for this quarter, what would significant key result look like now? And oftentimes, if it was one we carried over, I already made some progress on it last quarter. So I'm going to change the metrics, okay? The measures, the endpoints. So I did take up some of your time on it. But now, this gets it to the level that most people can actually use. We're not Googles here, most of us. This was the second half. It's in the Mike document that I gave you, okay? This is the other flip chart that we created, and it also is reflected in a worksheet that's got the 4 boxes. Okay, this is your commitment meeting worksheet. So how do you use OKRs once you've set them? My recommendation is, if you're going to start off, just do one. Don't do 5, 6, 10. One objective, 3 key results, 4 key results max. That gives you Now, so what you're going to do is you're going to meet up on Monday, and you're going to have on this corner here your objective, which you've already created, and your key results. Those are Mike's, with a confidence score. You know you've given yourself, you're in the right range for key results if you honestly look at each key result, and as you start the quarter, you go, if we do everything right, we've got a 50-50 chance of making this. 5 out of 10. Each week on Monday morning, you say, so now, based on what we did last week, how confident are we that we're going to hit that number in wholesale sales? It either is the same, 5 out of 10, or if we really busted it last week, we'd be going, man, we kind of got some progress. I'm going to say it's a 6 now, or a 7. If you're doing everything you need to be doing, these scores are going up. What happens if key client goes away and starts going down? What does that trigger for you to do? Change the objective, right? Someone please tell me no. No, don't change it. Change it. That's right, move the goalpost. That's not really what we're going to do. But actually, how often does that really happen? Oftentimes, that's the way we deal with the fact, we got to lower our projections. No, you don't. Doggone it. This is his key result. So if something drops off and he loses a big client, And all of a sudden or his website goes down. Now they can't even take any orders. You don't jettison. It just means, okay, we got to regroup. We got to come together. What are we going to do to save this faltering key result? So it drives even more intense focus. That's why you keep score weekly. From there, you're developing your weekly priorities. This, by the way, is not doing your job. You've got the other things that you're going to do. You're going to do them anyway because you have to, right? This is what you're going to focus on to drive your OKR. P1 means, I don't care if you stay here until 12 o'clock every night and work all weekend, it's gonna happen. That's what a P1 is. P2 is, okay, if you got any extra bandwidth, after you take care of the P1s, you take care of a P2, priority. P stands for priority. So you're identifying those based here. This is often done in a team setting. So we're talking about it. And if it is in a team setting, there may be a basis for a RACI. Anybody done something like that before? Who's taking, A is the person who I'm gonna be accountable for that. Or I'll help you out with it, that kind of thing. So you identify who's really gonna lead the charge. This is your plan for the week. These are your health metrics. So in addition to the OKR, which is taking up all your attention and focusing everybody, there may be some things that you go, gosh, I don't want to lose track of. Some things you need to maintain, keep an eye on. So I asked Mike, I said, Mike, while y'all are really hustling after these, what do you need to safeguard? Can't you lose? Well, he knows that with them flying to do this, the tendency is going to be for them to be scattered and then lose track and not have the communication. So that's an internal metric. He had one that was external. Possibility, you know what? While we're working with that one big client, trying to drive them to use more product, that's this one right here, drive them to use more product. You know, there's, gosh, we got 50, 60, 70 other folks that buy disc drones. Don't want to lose touch. Now, some of this may not make it to here, but it's going to go on somebody's task list. Hey, why don't you reach out to some of our folks this week? Can everybody take 3 people three of our customers, just give them a call and say hi. This is the forecast window. Forecast just says, hey, while we've got our focus here, remember, next month, we've got that big investor meeting that we've got a part to play in that. And you know, you probably ought to be lining up the site for that so we don't lose some things and are then caught with our pants down because we were so focused here. Now, recommendation is that you actually take a flip chart and you draw 4 squares like that, have this page here that everybody can be writing their notes on, and you use this. This is a discussion document. It's just a way to make sure we know where we are, we're focusing our work to help us move those confidence scores up, and we don't forget about the things that could bite us later. Questions about that? This is a great way to have the team aligned to actually move forward with goals. And Christina Watke in that Radical Focus book, that's her idea of doing it that way. So, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you're getting a lot out of my OKR series. I'll have one more posting within the next week or so that finishes off the workshop and again focuses on application. I'd be remiss if I did not point out that a good bit of today's content goes back to Christina Watke's book, Radical Focus. You'll see a picture of that right up here on the screen. And so check that out on Amazon. It's a short book, but it can help you take your OKRs practice, particularly if you're a small team, and put it to use that much more quickly. So check it out, and thanks for watching.